What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another video. It's time for another Donkey Kong video because Nintendo somewhat announced the Donkey Kong game. Too bad it's a game that came on the Wii. So, yeah, I guess Nintendo's not going to care about 30 years of Donkey Kong Country. So, yeah, I'm going to have to do it myself. But this isn't a Donkey Kong Country game we're talking about. We are going to be talking about the one Donkey Kong game I say probably the most controversial mainline Donkey Kong game. And that, my friends, that's right, everybody, it's time to go back to Donkey Kong 64. This is the game I talked about early in 2022, but those days were different. So today, I decided to redo this video again and go a little further as to this game's, development stuff, and also why this game is technically pretty controversial, and did it ever kill a genre, what people said? Well, we'll find out today. Okay, so I guess we can start off with the plot of Donkey Kong 64. King K. Rool and the Kremlings kidnapped all the Kongs. That's right, there are multiple Kongs here. Also, let's talk about the one particular highlight of this game.
Here we go.
Yes, the DK rap is still a banger. I never knew a guy here back then. Even Grant Coco wasn't a fan, but he seems to be chill with it, so that's nice. But yeah, King K. Rool has kidnapped all the Kongs and also is trying to destroy DK's home with a machine called the Blast-O-Matic. And yeah, it's up to Donkey Kong to save all of his friends and of course stop King K. Rool's evil plans yet again. So yes, this is a different take on the Donkey Kong series. It is a 3D Donkey Kong game. This is inspired, of course, made by Rareware. Rare was involved with this. And, right after Banjo-Kazooie. And the similarities are there. I'm going to try to compare Banjo and maybe Mario 64 a little bit here, so just a little warning. So yeah. Anyway, so when making this game, they wanted this game to be big, have a lot more than Banjo-Kazooie. And they mean it literally, for better or worse. Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about all that, honestly. So, yes, Donkey Kong 64. Now, when the game released back then, I wasn't alive when Donkey Kong 64 released, obviously. The game got praise. Some people call it N64 Classic, or some even called it amazing and stuff. But over time now, DK64 gets way more criticism than yeah. Now, I just always wonder, this is one of those games. Now, obviously, this can happen with any game, really, because, well, that just happens. But, yeah, this is one of those games that just isn't looked back upon fondly, unlike other N64 games. And I always wondered, why is that the case? Well, we're gonna talk about it. So, I think we should go ahead and get the negatives out of the way. I think it's pretty fair that. So, it's no doubt that Donkey Kong 64 is a bloated game. You need oh my god. Okay, so how much are you going to have to collect in this? So there are golden bananas. You need 100 golden bananas to even make it to the final boss. You have to get 200. There are a total of 201 bananas, counting the banana fairies that you collect, which you need to also get for a golden banana. There are different bananas you can get, also colored bananas to also unlock the bosses, and also get banana medals, which you're going to need to get to the final boss. There's also these banana bunch of coins to get, which you're going to use for crankies, funkies, and candies. Different shops you're gonna need to progress through the game to get some new moves. There are different, again, banana medals. They're boss keys. Obviously, need to be every single boss. And there's also the rare coin that you need to do in order to, need to play a little game called Jetpack to even get to the final boss, of course. And the Nintendo coin, which you do need to get in the Frantic Factory in order to get to the final boss. And of course you have the blueprints, which isn't super necessary, but adds time to the Blast-O-Matic segment you need to do. So it's definitely necessary to get those. And the battle crowns, you need at least 4 of them to get to the final boss, but you obviously but if there's a total of 10 of them if you want the full 201% completion. Oh boy, did you get all that? Yeah, there's no doubt there's a lot to collect in Donkey Kong 64, and yeah, this is one of the reasons why I think DK64 gets all the flack. And yeah, so And the fact that you have 5 different characters to play. Donkey Kong, who is the basic one, of course. Diddy Kong, who jumps higher, uses jetpack. Tiny Kong, who is a bit has the ability to fly and also shrink to get into different spots. Lanky Kong, who is long and climbs up steep slopes. And of course, Chunky Kong, who can break boulders that DK for some reason can't. So, yeah, each of the Kongs have their own unique abilities and all their unique personality. I just love the characters, how they act, honestly. You know, Chunky being a little afraid, Tiny Kong with that attitude, Lanky just being all goofy. I really love the new Kongs they add to this game. Obviously, I would have liked to see Dixie Kong return and stuff, but I love giving new characters a chance, honestly. So, yeah. Okay, so there's one thing that we gotta talk about when it comes to, you know, the character swapping. So, you have to, there is no free way to switch characters, and you basically need to go back to those tag barrels to switch to the Kong you want. So, yes, this game has a bit of backtracking involved, which can kill your mood of the game. And I don't blame you, to be honest. I almost did stop playing this game at some points, honestly, and because of the backtracking, which depends on the area, really. There's some areas that aren't too bad for me to do it, but I can totally see why people wouldn't get into Donkey Kong 64 just for this alone, because you gotta get 5 golden bananas for each Kong, and also different bananas for each Kong. So it just makes it, so yeah. I think if there was a free way to switch characters, it would have made the experience a lot better, in my opinion. But yeah, kind of annoying how that happens. Thankfully, a Donkey Kong 64 randomizer exists where you can do that whenever you want. So yeah, go check out the Donkey Kong 64 randomizer. It's generally really fun. So yeah, overall, despite that, also, I guess I should talk about other criticism, like the backtracking. Again, I talked about backtracking. I talked about the game having a ton of collectibles. Even a world record saying that this game has the most collectibles in a platformer game in history. Wow, Donkey Kong getting a world record? That's shocking. So yeah, yes, even more than like Mario Odyssey or something like that. Well, I don't know. Odyssey still has a lot to collect, but D64 is a different story. So yeah, and also we have the mini games, which tend to be hit or miss. Some of them I don't really mind. Some of them are beaver bother. Oh god. And they also get repeated often, which means you're gonna be repeating the same things over and over again. So yeah, definitely not the most fun mini games are fine for the most part, but again, you're gonna be repeatedly going through the same ones over and over again, and it just gets a bit stale when playing these mini games. And also, like I said, some of them are fine, some of them are whatever, some of them are just beaver bother. There's also the minecart minigames you can play, which I think are probably the most fun of all the minigames, despite some of them being a little on the hard side. So yeah. Okay, so overall, I got through all the criticism with Donkey Kong 64. It's bloated, a ton of to collect, the backtracking can be annoying, and the minigames are repeated too often. And to be honest, I don't really blame any of these criticisms, really, because I do think it can help. I do understand why you wouldn't get into this game, so yeah. But despite all the negatives I see with this game, I definitely don't think it's a straight up garbage, bad game or anything. There's some highlights I can bring up with this game. As one thing I can bring up is the music. Some people say the music is like lame or boring or too similar to Banjo-Kazooie, and what do you guys think? It was made by Grant Coco. Of course, he was going to be involved with it. The gameplay itself is aged, but overall, I think it works, and generally, and despite minus some janky camera issues, I think I rather do play this game over Super Mario 64. So yeah, not really much of a, it's not by much, but yeah. And one of the best things I can say with Donkey 64, one of the things I can say with Banjo-Kazooie and Super Mario 64, when you're swimming, you have an air meter, which isn't bad as long as you can find air, obviously, but it just definitely is like, why do you need an air meter? Why would you be like Donkey Kong 64? You can stay as underwater as much as you like. And I do think the swimming controls is pretty solid in that game and compared to Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie. Well, Mario 64 is a bit debatable, but I do think Donkey Kong 64 swimming controls is better than Banjo's. I love Banjo-Kazooie, but I was never a fan of the swimming controls. So yeah. And overall, the levels, what do you think of the worlds? They're not too bad, honestly. There's some stinkers, like Gloomy Gallon and, Crystal Caves. I really want to love Crystal Caves because of the atmosphere and the somewhat snow vibes, but it's just so easy to get lost in that area, unfortunately. I can't really enjoy it. But there's still some solid areas like, you know, a solid Jungle Japes, of course. which is a good starter world in my opinion. Angry Architects, actual solid desert world minus a few exceptions. But, of course, we have Frantic Factory. God, I love this area so much. So fun. Fungi Forest, man, I just love the vibe with it. It's so nice. And probably the best world of the entire game, Creepy Castle. So, yeah, definitely some fun to be having Donkey Kong 64. Honestly, I just love also the animations. This game just feels so charming, honestly, despite its flaws. I really do like Donkey Kong 64, honestly. So, yeah. Okay, I think I pretty much... Also, the hub world, DK Isle, makes for a great hub world. Nice to explore. DK's home ground, honestly. So, yeah. Okay, and, yeah, let's go ahead and talk about... I guess we can go ahead and talk about the ending at this point. After getting all the collectibles you need, you fight King K. Rool. And 5 different phases. Donkey Kong has to... there is 5 different phases you gotta do. Donkey Kong has to go in the barrels to shoot King K. Rool. Diddy Kong has to use his jetpack to drop light on him. Lanky Kong has to use his long ability to hit switches. Tiny Kong has to shrink to hit King K. Rool's toes. And Chunky Kong has to throw the final blow and punch him. And that's pretty much Donkey Kong 64. So, what do I think of this game despite its criticisms? Despite that, I really do like Donkey Kong 64. I do think it's a very fun game, honestly. Despite its problems, I definitely wouldn't mind replaying it, casually at least. Going for 201 completion definitely is... It depends if you're a completionist, really. I tend to not really be much of a completionist, so... wouldn't really mind replaying this game, just for some stuff to do, honestly. I will admit that there are some problems, and I do think I prefer other Nintendo 64 titles. I don't know if I like this more than Banjo. I think Banjo's an easier 3D platformer on the N64 to get into, honestly. But I don't really mind. There's just something about Donkey 64 that's just special to me. Honestly, more. I don't know if I like this more than Paper Mario 64, which is my favorite Nintendo 64 game. But regardless, I don't think Donkey 64 is a bad game at all. And despite what Dev said about killing a genre, no, it never did, of course. So yeah. Okay, and yeah, that's Donkey 64. Overall, a solid, fun, flawed 3D platformer on Nintendo 64 that I do appreciate, honestly. Now, I do hope Nintendo does make a brand new 3D Donkey Kong game, honestly. I feel like there's a lot of potential you can put for a 3D Donkey Kong game, considering a lot of Nintendo franchises begin these big 3D adventures. I think Donkey Kong should get that treatment too. Hopefully sometime soon, honestly. So yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. What do you guys think of Donkey Kong 64? Let me know in the comments below. Next time we come back to the Donkey Kong Marathon, will be Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, and also talk about the GameCube era of Donkey Kong. So be aware for that. Be around for that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time for more. Later, folks. I realized this whole time I never talked about battles. Yeah, there are actually some pretty neat boss battles. Summon Mad Jack, the Jack in the Box, is honestly one of my favorite fights. I just like it. And then there's the water fights. Give me a miserable feeling. Otherwise, it's some cool fights. Alright, see you later, everyone.